on a rocket ship type mode right now.
More than you guys even know. And Jim just went to some other level after that. So like we'll have a big thing happening soon with a big comic book store. So I would say that there is a connection.
Okay.
And, you know, we were sitting in a room kind of uncomfortable, like, honestly, because it was me, Chris Face, and Ali. And then you'll probably find out in issue 12 why. Could be. And so Rips is sitting there and Gary says, make it Rips. And I'm like, okay. And like, that is amazing. Like, that should be a toy. Like, the blue head in the far right corner.
Bottom right, yeah.
That's actually, I didn't talk to Gary about that at all. And I don't even think we've ever spoken about it. I just kind of did it. And he was like, I must say though, this is some alpha for you, is we did talk about, and he goes, Jim, tell him who the next cover artist is. And he goes, and the guys went, oh,
shit. That's crazy.
By the time this comes out, I think that'll be news. So you're good.
Wow. While talking to us without being.
Is that?
What is that?
Is that an ostrich?
It's an ostrich.
Oh yeah, it is. Welcome back to Is It Canon? My name is Tom. That's Ann. That's Ann, and we have our first returning guest ever, and it's the one and only DJ Coffman.
Hello.
How we doing?
Excellent.
Yeah, we're big
Radical.
fans. Yeah, radical.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're big fans? Really? Thank you.
We're big fans of yours. If you couldn't tell,
haven't noticed, the comments everywhere.
But yeah, no. God, a lot's changed since we've had you on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we are in like full trajectory on a rocket ship type mode right now.
More than you guys even know.
I'm sure.
For sure.
It's very exciting. And I'm already like, I can't keep up with just 2 issues a month.
I can't keep up with 2 issues a month.
I'm not even doing any work. All I have to do is read and talk with Ann for an hour.
That's great.
I feel like, my God, I can't catch up. But that's awesome. You guys are crushing.
Yeah, and we're all the comics team. I think we're all pumped. Maybe Jim said it. I know Jim said it on the one stream he was on today, but like after that last offsite, it was like a little mini offsite with Gary. Which wasn't like as deep as we usually go with story, but it was more like strategy for business and comics business. And Jim just went to some other level after that. So like we're all on, these stories just keep getting better and better and better. Issue 10 is wonderful. I love it. But now I'm like writing future ones too. And I'm like, ooh, this one's even, like we're really trying to tell the best stories. That's what our side's trying to do. So
I think what's been really cool is like, I think you were on here like about almost 4 months ago, but just like no time at all, but just seeing the community getting really into it too since then. Like I feel like after Comic-Con, there was really a big push for people to get into the comics and get more excited. You guys started a podcast too, Making Comics Now, which is amazing, by the way. I love seeing that coming up every week. And just people really diving into either way who have been in comics for a long time and now getting back into it and getting excited, or people completely new to it. And like both sides also really interacting with each other and helping each other. It's like, hey, what should I read when I'm done with all the VeeFriends comics right now? I have a week in between, there's something else. And just getting the kids excited. It's been really cool to see the community get so into it too and so excited about it and then learn more about comics itself.
Yeah, and we really need that too. Like we need more people reading the comics, but also being ambassadors of the comics to get more people reading comics in general. Tom, you and Ann are great at that. And we've had so many people say that they've watched your show and they're like, wow, we never knew that there was so much to collecting comics, or like there was so much depth to it. So I really appreciate it. And it's been great to get Jim back on the horse with his YouTube stuff. He's super excited. Like if you get him behind the closed doors, he just nonstop talking about like, we should do this on the show. We should do that on the show. Like he's an old pro at that. So I like to just sit back and listen to him interview people. Really, it's pretty awesome.
I love how in the episode this week you guys did, how you in the beginning also dove into just general culture when it comes to comics, like what's going on right now, where you guys going somewhere. And I think that was really cool for, again, somebody new like me. It wasn't like too much for me who doesn't know a lot of it, but it gave me some pointers of like where to look into, what to like check out. And I think it was really cool to not just have the VeeFriends part of it, but you guys also expanding more on just like comics in general, and like really getting people excited about it.
Yeah, not to like flex or anything like that. We're all pretty humble hedgehogs, I think, on the team, but I kind of had to educate, even Adam and Andy a little bit of like, Jim's not just a guy, like he's an Eisner Award winning, what Eisners are, and it's like the Oscars of comic book land, and like we've got some real chops on these books, and it's super awesome to see. I can't wait for you guys to read Astronaut and all the future ones that are coming too. So it's so good.
Anne apparently got hers today.
Not the astronaut. I got extra. I got my extra robots.
Okay, we could talk about that too.
What? She said I got the comics today. Mine arrived. I was like, "What? I didn't. No, I just ordered it." All right. Anyway,
not those. No.
Glad we cleared that up. Yeah. No. I mean, what an accomplishment getting an Eisner Award, and I made sure to intro him that way, because that is such a big deal, and I don't think a lot of people understand. Even I don't fully understand how big of a deal that is, but it's quite difficult and it's rare to get. So that's quite an accolade. But yeah, I mean, you guys feel like you're in your zone right now, because it's just, they're coming out on time, it seems, and the hype is just keeps growing week after week. I mean, we, as a community ambassador, call it, like, we're getting questions constantly. I'm getting recommendations and questions and all the time about what I think about this, and even both on collectible side and reading side. I've never given more or been approached about more recommendations of even non-VeeFriends comic books in my life. It's great.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we're working on issue 22 is done. It's been done for a long time. Issue 22 is done.
Wow.
And we just released 11 as of recording this.
Yeah.
And I'm writing issue 21 right now, and I'm drawing issue 18. So we're really cooking on different aspects of it. Yeah.
Okay. And we're still in the issue 10, like that linear, obviously, if you're on it. So we're not branching out yet. So you guys have a future book done before an earlier book.
Yes.
That's wild.
It should have been like, because when we're at those summits, we're looking at the timeline. I think I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen the timeline, but there's a timeline of this is when these books are coming out.
Okay.
And, Gary might be like, wait, let's take that one and save that one for this moment, for whatever reason, whether it's San Diego Comic-Con or, some other big event. So, and then it's like one in the chamber for us too, which is nice. It's like, okay, this one's done. Now we know what number it is, it's not printed yet. So it's always flexible that we can keep it in the chamber if we wanted to, but it's a nice. And when you think about it, it's crazy for us as VeeFriends, because like we're not new to making comics on the comics team. We've been doing it for quite a while, but for VeeFriends itself, people are like, that's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but Marvel and DC and Image, they put out a lot of books every week.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like it's something crazy that we're doing. It's just, we're doing it pretty scrappy and on a different level for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, with the amount of people on the team, but like you're not like, we're what, a year in, and you're already
not even.
When did two come out? Because one was May. Like a whole space. So May. So you're not even a full year, and you're already doubling up. And that's what I think. It's not a crazy volume, but I think it's a quite impressive volume for how long you guys are into it. That's what is the impressive side to me.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And mind you, in May, the team wasn't even the same that it's now.
No,
it was me. It's still I think Chris Frayson was still freelance at the time or something. Yeah. So
just crazy. Like,
so
just
cool.
The development.
That's the pedal to, it's like the pedal to the metal with Gary. Like if he's like, hey, can we do this? I'm like, yeah, we can do this. And he's like, all right, let's go. Find the people. Find the right people, So that was another thing, is we have a lot of people banging down our door, to do stuff with us. Not necessarily famous comic book people yet. I think that's probably going to change. I'm already realizing that a little bit, but And of course, when people, Google Gary or whatever, some people might have dollar signs in their eyes, but we're a pretty scrappy team. So, like we keep things, and I'm very business minded too. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm like, got to keep it tight. I got to, every time I'm selling those sketch cards on the streams now, I keep joking around and saying like, we got to put it towards the cover budget for these big cover artists, because some of these cover artists are very expensive.
Yeah.
And of course, that's funny to say, but I'm serious. I'm like, anytime I sell this card, can we put it in the cover budget for some big name,
Yeah. I think that's a smart move, because bringing those names in, brings more eyeballs, and then people will bring it up to we saw it with the artists at Comic-Con that we were going to, and they're like, I'm getting approached by VeeFriends more than my other books. It's crazy.
Yeah. We want to, we'll have a big thing happening soon with a big comic book store. That's all I'm going to say. A signing at a big comic book store. You'll know it probably mid-March.
I think I can guess.
I think March 13th. And I think there's a lot of cynical cats in the comic book. Me and Jim were talking about this today. There's a lot of cynical cats in the comic book industry who are like set in their ways, and they're like, we're doing this way for. They're very skeptical about having signings or anything like that. And I'm like, ooh, wait till they see the vibe of what VeeFriends and Gary can bring to the fold. And that's not like ego or anything like that. I've seen it happen. And even some of the people that we were working with at San Diego Comic-Con, or we were working with some of the people that are now running the Comics the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of consulting with us and stuff out in San Diego Comic-Con, and we did that meetup in the lobby, and I'm just like, yeah, a couple people are going to show up, and they were just like, their eyes were just like, where did these people come from? They drove 2 hours to get here. They were like, this doesn't happen for even people on the ground at San. People don't do that to go meet David Mack or Jay Lee, and like, so everybody's like, what the heck is going on? Because when people see a crowd forming, they're like, something's, especially at Comic-Con, and they're like, what's VeeFriends? And that's what our job is too. Like, we want more and more people to say, what's VeeFriends, and to be a household name, really. So
it will be. Just wait. We're getting there.
That's basically like when Gary says like macro patience, micro speed. Like this is the micro speed. He sees the success of the comics and the interest in the comics, and it is like gung ho, like guns blazing. And for a while it was the comic strips, but once the idea of the books or the progression to the books, it's just been off to the races. And I love to see it.
Yeah, and there's also like credibility factors, right? Too. Like, well, I said about those cynical people. I was thinking about this morning. I actually forgot to finish. I was texting Jim, and I forgot to message. I was like, "Hey, Jim." He's so humble, Jim Rugg. He's like, "Well, I'm so glad you guys brought me on board." And I'm like, "Dude, you realize how much credibility you add to VeeFriends in the market? Sure, we've got Gary V, but like people in the comic book industry don't know who he is, and Gary knows this. So like the people that were skeptical of like NFTs or like, oh, that Gary V guy talks about AI, we don't like that. They see Jim Rugg joining and they go like, oh, okay. Like if Jim Rugg is giving it a nod,
that's right.
It must be something good. And it is. It's like we're the proof will be in the pudding when you read the stories and see the vibe. So
yeah, some really, really smart moves being made, and love it, because you get the credibility factor, but also like just the high quality artists in Kate and Chris and Allie and the staff artists that are just crushing, that might not have been known to anyone, but just so talented, and now on the team and locking them down to do all of this. You have like the good churning and burning team that can crank out the pages, because that takes a long time, and it requires discipline and talent.
Yes.
And Kate was on here and she was tight. She was like, a page might take me 8 hours, and
Sure.
it could be more, a splash or whatever. And that's a full day of work, and it's just nonstop working. So you need to have that drive to do it. And just, you've got the right people in the right
Yeah.
places, and then bringing in you at the helm, Jim with the credibility, and then the known cover artists and stuff like that. It's just
And then-
I can't think of a better strategy.
And I thought, yeah, we're good. We got this set little team of mercenaries. Like we're like the A team.
Yeah.
Like we can go in. Kate can do a whole book. I can do a whole book. I'm thinking we're really good. And then Gary's like, double it. Let's do 2 a month. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, just hire more freelancers. And so like what you'll see with issue 11, we've got Ben Perkins and again, it's not easy to find. I can't really vouch for everyone. Like I vouch for Chris or Jim, but I can only like say like we have a talent search form, and it's like we can pretty much tell like who's got the chops and who doesn't to do this. And it's kind of weird because I never want to be a gatekeeper either. I always hated that. You know, like we want to give people the right shot, but it is very hard. It's a challenging thing to do 22 pages. You might be very eager to do it, but if you've never done it before or haven't done it in a while, jumping back in can be like you're at page 10 and then you're like, oh, like you just life gets in the way, things happen, you start to doubt yourself, and like it's like a fever dream of you know, you're there by yourself. It's very isolating. You're turning your back to your family. I hear that so much. You know, the stress factor can really creep in, and then the book doesn't get, it's not good. You could see the style change sometimes in independent comics because you could see like, oh, this is where they drove off a cliff. So, you know, but you only get that from experience. So that's, and hopefully we can, you know, we could find some, I think we've already found a few, and even on the team, like Ali had never drawn Ali Castro had never drawn comic books before ever. And she's great at it. And she has 2 coming out this year. So
that's great.
You know, yeah. So hopefully she'll keep elevating to that level of, she's young and ambitious, you know, doesn't have a whole lot more, you know, there's no kids and there's no family and there's no all that stuff yet, which is great. But sooner or later, you know, life gets in the way.
Right.
I've been there. We're all still there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Rare Robot. This is the issue that just recently came out. And we had, what it's, I mean, a lot of buzz. We get a lot of people have said it's in their top 3, number 1, all that. I can see why. It's so fun. It's you know, it's different, right? We're futuristic. We don't, you know, there's like a new, I saw the thing where the organics, it's like something new, right? You did, what was it? Like you didn't want it to be human. You didn't want it to be pure robots, or was it Gary that said, I want something new, a new type of thing?
Yeah. You know, I've said it before. I think that's the thing with Gary. Like if it's too basic, like if it feels like, oh, it's an android, that's been done before. He's like, it would be something new. Like, let's try to think up something new and like press ourselves. Like it wouldn't be AI, it wouldn't be robots. And like, it's hard to wrap your brain around what the future could look like 555 years from now, you know?
For sure. Well, I love the cover, your cover.
Thank you.
I had posted that it was Rare Robot, and I put it next to the Harpic from Jim Mahfood, and they're both got a foot on a skull looking thing. Is there a connection? Can you say anything, or is it just happenstance?
I would say that there is a connection.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'd say any further than that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's just how I roll. That's how I roll, Tom.
DJ. Yeah, but I'm not off basis. It's not just like, oh, this looks. As soon as I saw it, I was like, where have I seen this? Looks familiar. And then I was, you know, going through my collection, and I saw, or it was right there. It's right there on the wall, and I was just like, that's where I saw something similar, and I took that picture and posted it, and I was just like, am I onto something? Am I completely off, or you know, whatever?
It's pretty in your face. It's like it's an in your face kind of thing, you know.
It is.
He could be standing on anything, and he just happens to be on a red skull and a blue skull.
I know.
So
and then also this one looks a lot like the guy from the inside.
Sure.
Yeah.
So one is like a robot thing, and one is like a I don't know. Is it human? I don't.
Yeah, I would. There's definitely a lot of like So if I go all the way back to the roots of this one, went all the way back to March, 2025 at the first summit, we had the guts of this. And that came from, we were talking about the future. We talked about, GPT had just launched its brand new thing where it was like, and, we were sitting in a room kind of uncomfortable, like, honestly, because it was me, Chris Face, and Ali, and GPT just launched on a Wednesday, like, wow, look at these crazy images you can make. And so we had rips off to the side and a couple other people on the team, like, look, we made comic. We had people texting us from the team going like, look, we made a comic cover. And all the actual artists in the room were going like, yeah, but that's not that great. Like, we're like, that's pretty good. And Gary's like, we need you to lean into AI. And he's telling me and Chris and we're all kind of like, okay, how do we balance this? Do we see this as a threat and I don't really, we could get into that. Like, just there are a lot of artists that do, or like it's stealing things. There's it's so complicated. And it's easy for Gary to say, well, people were afraid of electricity. And it's like, yeah, but there are thousands and thousands and probably hundreds of artists that I know personally that are freaking out that AI is going to take their job. And some of them are probably, giving it all up, like, I don't want to draw anymore. This is so depressing. And I would say, don't do that. Like, that's not the way to do it. Right. I don't believe that anything's going to take over the human spirit. Right. So that was there. Cause like, we were thinking about, what if it takes place in the future? And Gary's like, I said, like, what, 55 years in the future? And he's like, what about 5,000 years in the future? I'm like, that's a little far. That's a little too far, Gary. I was like, I don't know. And we didn't know what. He was like, well, what would it be? And so, like I said, about the basic ideas, like, you think of the future, everyone always does Mad Max or Mad, like, it's a post-apocalyptic future where everything went terrible.
Dystopian, yeah.
And I just kind of blurted out, like, but what if we won? What if all this cool technology was actually the thing? And Gary was like, yes, you get it. Like, what if all these cool things that we have, like, Gary has faith in humanity that we're not going to mess this up.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's a really rosy, that's interesting. That was the nugget of like, ooh, that's interesting to play with.
Right.
And, as you've seen the story go on, and we can probably spoil it or you don't, it doesn't matter.
We spoil.
I had originally, as we're brainstorming, I'm like, oh, I think by the end, the VeeFriends show up to get him. They like a team, like maybe it's like, I think I might have said termite or cockroach, like what would have lasted forever.
Right. That's smart.
So, and I'm like, oh, it's cockroach and whatever. And Gary's like, people will see that coming. Like, he's like, if he can see it coming, he's like, nah, that's too basic. Like, when people were like, issue 13 should be Black Cat, he's like, give me a break. You know what I mean? Of course, that's what that would be. Like, he's like, no, I'm never doing a Black Cat comic. And I'm like, so when it's too basic, that's the cool thing, though. It challenges you to be like, okay, what do we do here? So we didn't finalize the plot path. We just had the nuggets there. And then in August, we revisited it. And I pulled it back up and I said, okay, here's where we were. Because we said this was a dark green one. We were going to do this one, but this is the plot path we had. And he shifted it around a little bit. And you're going to see with some of the other stories like Adventurous Astronaut, there's some themes that connect in a sort of way.
Love that.
As far as having faith in humanity, we're not going to screw it up. We are going to win. We haven't bombed each other. And how many, when you read Astronaut, there's a line in there that says, like, I believe in humanity. We're not going to, like, we haven't bombed each other. We have all these nuclear weapons and we haven't destroyed each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you'll probably find out in issue 12 why. You know what I mean? Like, so like, there's these little pieces that get answered throughout the whole thing. And then you're in issue 10, you've jumped all the way ahead to see like, oh, what did happen? Like, and there's a lot of questions like, but he did challenge us like, oh, it's androids or it's robots, or maybe it was other advanced robots. And he's like, that's boring. Like, hasn't that been done in Aliens? Like, he's pretty well versed in pop culture. Like, people might not think that he is, but he definitely is. Like, he's a nerd, like Gary's a nerd. So he's like, wait, there's like those things in Aliens. I was like, yeah, we can't do androids or synthetic. We were calling them synthetic at the summit, and I said, we don't want to use that word, but let's just use that word for right now. And I called it organic because Gary's always talking about organic social media.
Yeah,
I was like, let's just call it the organics, right? And he loved it. So, and then the thing with the VeeFriends showing up, I still kind of I wanted to do that, but he's like, no, people will see that coming. Let's have it be a child. Let's have it be a little kid that rescues him in the future, because maybe a little kid in the future could be. And so Rips is sitting there, and Gary says, make it Rips. And I'm like, okay. And like Rips is barely, I think he's like kind of half, he's like, what now?
Yeah.
And so I actually drew it as, and that was like right after a show where he had put on these like crazy blue gloves to open up.
I remember that one.
He found surgical gloves or something. And so everybody's like, Rips, what's up with the blue gloves? And so on the original sketch I have of him like flying, he's got blue gloves on. And I was like, this is funny, man. Yeah. So he's got the blue gloves.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't.
Yeah.
One, I read this and I saw that and laughed my ass off. Yeah. I did not know. I texted in. I go, holy shit, look at this. And she was like, you don't even know about Adam Slips? And I'm like, oh.
And there's always that, you know how Gary is. I mean, if people are watching this and they don't know Gary, well, Gary's a trickster, you know what I mean? Like he's going to be poking at you or like teasing you and stuff. And of course he's like, it's a kid. Oh wait, it's Rips. Oh wait. And so like that wasn't even the end of that. Cause when we were finally, I was showing him the layouts and like reading through it. And when Rips came on the scene, he was like, oh, he goes, change the name to Adam Slips. And I was like, really? I was like, he's like, yeah, it's spelled like this. And I'm like, that threw me for a loop. But he's just like, just go with it. And I'm like, all right, it's Adam Slips. I was like, are you sure you don't want? I thought maybe it was like a legal thing. Like we don't want to have to do the actual names of people.
You don't want to pay him.
Yeah, we don't want to pay him. But no, it wasn't. It was an inside. It was definitely another inside joke that I can't repeat. But and Rips told me, he's like, you know why you did that? I'm like, yeah, okay. So it tracks.
I love the fact that there's connective tissue. That's why I loved 1 and 1A so much, right? Because I like that it was a continuation. Yeah. Well, that's more of like a prequel, sequel type thing. I know we're not supposed to, we didn't want to call it a prequel or something, but it is like directly run into each other, but like different issues having some connections. Like you said, we find out what happened in I love the type of layout where you don't have to read 10 and 11 to read 12. I'm assuming you can still read 12 and enjoy it. Yeah. But if you do, it adds context to other ones and you're just like, oh, that's what happened. But it's not so pivotal that you have to read 10 and 11.
Yeah, because we're not Marvel or DC. We don't have this monthly schedule of these ongoing titles yet. And I would say like we only have little bits and pieces to play with. And we know that there's a hungry audience. So even if it's just a quote on that page that calls back to something else or makes you go, oh, wait, is that something, and it most likely is, or it's, if no one sees it, maybe we just move on, like if we go, people didn't pick up on that. Let's just forget about that.
I mean, you still said that there was something when you were on the first time that there's stuff that people haven't noticed yet or called out that you saw, which still drives some of us crazy.
Yeah.
Look at Anne smirking. She knows.
Which is cool though, because I see people keep talking about and somebody brings something up from a comic that they saw and that there might be connective tissue between this and this, and people start going back. That's a big part, but what we wanted them to do. We wanted them to read the comics again, not just like one time put them on a shelf, but like you read them again. You want to learn more about it. You understand it better. Like we've always said that, like the more times you read it, the more things you all of a sudden will find. Like that's the cool part about it.
And that's what I liked. I think that's why it's designed that way. Is like those are the types of comics that I liked. When you go back and read a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, on the surface it's just some wild adventure, but the more you look deeper and deeper, there's things hidden throughout his run on Spider-Man too. So I always love that. It just makes it fun. It makes comics fun, makes storytelling fun, and it makes your fan like you're anticipating it then as like you can't wait for the next issue, even if it's going to be something wild in a different style, because you're going to see that happen with VeeFriends. There's going to be different styles of art that will come out. You'll see that even with Astronaut's the first one that I know we're talking about robot, but Astronaut's the first one that totally different art style inside, but it's amazing, but it's not Kate, it's not DJ, it's not, it's not what you're used to. And you're going to be seeing that variety, I think. And that's cool. Like it's a cool thing.
Yeah. I think that's necessary because you got to shake it up. And if everything looks the same, I mean, they're different tones too. Like some of these are mature, some of these are kiddie, some of these are deep, some of are just adventure and action. So you got to have different styles too. But for me, like this is correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first time you're doing interior since issue 2?
Yeah. And I was starting to feel some way about that, I think, because I was like, well, I'm getting these teams together. It takes a lot of time to pull the team together. Writing them is challenging as well. It takes time, and working with the artist back and forth. And that's a full-time job. I could see like why someone like Brian Michael Bendis, he used to draw and write. And then I could see how he's like, oh, wait, now it's cool to like write something and have it just turned in, and you're like, wow, this is better than I thought.
Right.
It's addictive to think that, but I'm also like, well, when am I going to draw a comic? So like even that August offsite, I'm like, man, this is so cool. Jim's got farm fights and everybody's got a cool, like she's got Kind Warrior, and what am I going to do? And then like Gary's looking at me going like, well, when we were talking about this one specifically and Astronaut, he's like, we need the genres to change. We need a real sci-fi artist. We need to get we need someone that understands science fiction, and like, who's the best science fiction artist here? And I'm looking around the room going like, well, it's probably Jim Rugg, or it's probably Chris Faison or Kate, like I'm not thinking about myself at all. And I didn't know. I was like, I'll find somebody to do it. Like, I think we can write it. We'll write it. And I'll find another artist to draw it. And I think it was a little bit of a mix of looking at the timelines and going, uh-oh. Because even if I found an artist to do it, can they meet our deadlines that we had?
Right.
And then I just realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I could do this, because I am a deep sci-fi person. And, you always have those doubts as a creator or artist where you're like, can I do this? Like, am I capable of doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I can do it.
That's interesting. I didn't know if it was like, you were like, I want the robot. So it wasn't like that. Okay.
No, I actually just did the same thing with another issue, because I'm like looking for an artist and looking at the timelines. And I'm like, and it was my wife that said like, you're going to have to draw this one. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. I'm going to do it. And it's the same situation, totally different genre for the other one I'm working on. But yeah, that was kind of the thing. Like, I try to remove myself and do what's best for the story and for the brand. You know what I mean? Like, whoever's best for the story. And in this case, I was like, okay, I think I can do this. Like, I had a vision with, okay, like the things I could put into it, add to it, kind of get my own message across too, maybe in a way, a subtle way, about like what I think is canon, and like, can we take things that weren't canon and make them canon? Like the theme song, if that wasn't canon, like, can we, like, I like that. I thought a lot of people like that in the community. And I thought a lot more new people will like that if we do it right. So that's, the more I thought about it, it just in that environment where you're brainstorming and there's 20 concepts happening, you're not really thinking about like, ooh, I mean, you might be like, I want that one. And that's probably I think even the comics team, where they were kind of concerned, like, DJ, what are you going to draw? Are you okay? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, the great thing about it is that I could pick and choose what I wanted to do. I think Gary would be all for it if I said like, I must draw this.
Right.
He would be like, okay, go, but again, I just want to make sure that, I can't say the words. I can't say the ones coming up, but there's some definite ones where I'm like, Kate needs to draw this, like Kate's the one. And Jim's like, I don't want to draw that. So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I was like, cartoony robots. I've done that before. I did a cartoon strip with a long, long time ago in the newspapers with a floating little robot guy. And I've drawn these little robots and things. And I'm like, I could do this. This will be good. I know how to like make it expressive and work.
I mean, you did. I mean, it's perfect. It really is the perfect aesthetic to it. And I look at, if I love, I'm going to treat the ones that you do, because like you write, you've written most of them, but I'm going to treat the ones that you do, both writing and the interiors for, as like an event, because you're basically the creator of this world, story wise, visually. Well, not the characters and all that, but I mean the comic book world rather. And like you've been there from the genesis of it. So what I really mean is that I feel like there's going to be the most hints or Easter eggs because you started it with writing the first one, writing 1A, writing 2, the interiors for 2. You know what I mean? So I just feel like we're going to get, it's even more special when you do both.
Yeah.
Is what I meant.
And to that point, I feel like when I'm at those summits, and I do think that Gary really leans on me for this to like, even though we have multiple note takers, May's taking notes. I think we have, at one point we had like a recording happening and it was taking notes, which didn't do very well. But my Miro boards, as we're firing through them, I'm like, I've got a system where I'm like green, dark green, oh, pink, he's throw that away or throw this away. And it's usually pretty spot on. And even if I'm the only one that remembers, I'm like, I know there's a tape of this because we record everything. I'll go back and I'll listen to the tape. So even the ones that I kind of see myself as like a director, creative director, I guess. But for a director for the comics where I'm like, no, that's not what Gary said. Right. Because somebody else might say like, well, I think it should be this. And I'll be like, no, Gary, like my job is to steer it back to like Gary wanted it this way. So there is, even for Astronaut, it was easy with Jim though, where I'm like, Astronaut, he's like, what was the thing? And I'm like, we pull open the Miro board, we look at those cards, and I'm like, here's the plot path. And then Jim's like, oh, okay, cool. And he takes that plot path and then he goes to work at it. So I'm just making sure that what Gary calls, if it doesn't have my DNA on it, I don't know if he's spitting in the books or no. If he says like, if my DNA is not in there, and that's exactly what he means. Like, cause he's going to remember like, oh, there's the thing. Why do these things only live 5 years? Organics in the comic, he knows why, and I know why. I won't tell you why, because that's a secret, but there's definitely the lifespan dilemma. And if I said like, I'm going to throw that out, Gary would be like, I don't remember that. I thought it was supposed to be this, like, so
sure.
You want to have his, his, what do you call like an orchestra? What's that guy called? Maestro. Yeah. He's the maestro.
So maybe what I meant was like, you're the timekeeper, you're the overseer, right? So like you and Gary are in sync in that there are secrets that only you two know, but you are involved in everything. So when you're doing it, I just feel like it's going to be tight and can have like no one will know more about this world.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than Gary, because this is your full time. Gary's doing 100 things, and I love that he's involved as he is.
Sure.
Hearing that is very, very cool.
And,
but no one's more involved, every day than you.
And listen, I also challenge myself, because I'm like, and I know it's not a small, like I don't take it for granted. When I read through Rare Robot with him, he and I think somebody else was in the room. He was thoroughly entertained, and he was like, oh, and he was laughing at all the right beats and like all the right moments, because he remembered they were his ideas, but it was just like, now he saw his ideas amplified. And I've done that a couple times now where it's like, oh, he doesn't have much to say to change, because it's all spot on pretty much the direction. I might add things like, no one saw the big head. That came as almost midway of me writing the script, going like, they have management, the head manager, and I'm like, oh, it's like, it is like kind of like a dad joke in a sort of way. Yeah. But I did have there was another idea for the giant robots. They're, big robots and things, but I didn't want to like copy like Sentinels or anything stupid like that. I didn't want to do that, but I was like, oh, wait, it's a head, like it's a giant freaking head. So I wanted that moment to surprise him too. Like, what do you think of this? And he was like, oh my God, like that is amazing. Like that should be a toy. Like, oh, like that's, a lot of stuff that we talked about, but yeah, so part of my job is like, hey, distill it, make it into an elixir, show it to Gary, and see if he actually goes, okay, this is it.
Mhm.
And that's been we've got a pretty good formula for that now. Like we know how we've said, like we know how real VeeFriends comics are made. There are other writers and things that have come to us and said, like, I would like to write a story and it's about this. And we're like that doesn't make any sense. Like, like we're like, that's not it. Like, that's not it. But yeah, we've got a formula for how these are made and we're doing it.
I love that. So, one of the things is we kind of go through, I mean, I write a whole bunch of notes as going through just for talking points or something, like even just off there, like you got an Astro helmet, potentially some other characters, is that a hard trooper helmet? We don't know, but loving that. The wrong arm. I think C3PO, he's kind of got some C3PO notes as he's going through where he's like this, genuinely kind, helpful robot, but like in the sequel, especially Force Awakens, he has the wrong arm on this. So like what's the wrong arm thing? Is it just you need something kind of fun and creative, or is there anything deeper than that? And he ends the issue with still the wrong arm, right? So
yeah, a couple things there. I think we're always trying to think of, I mean, my brain is storytelling brain. I want things to echo other things that might seem familiar to you that you might not remember, like a folk tale or something that you heard when you were a kid. So like Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall, had a great fall. They put him back together again, right? Like, so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like putting him back together. What's the thing about activating him, right? Was the care for putting him back together, polishing him up, showing him a little love and TLC is the thing that re-sparked his thing, his spirit or whatever. And I think that's part of it. And I also thought as I'm drawing it, I'm like, this would make a cool toy.
Got it.
For a kid to put. I would like this if I'm always looking, I have a thing up there that says my 8-year-old wishes I could watch Garfield being drawn. Or, like that 8-year-old inside of you. I'm like, that 8-year-old would want the Rare Robot toy and I'd want to be able to have interchangeable parts. Yep. It's just cool.
I agree. And that's a perfect answer.
Yeah. You want one, right?
Tom is getting excited. He's like, he's already in his head. He's already playing with it.
That'll be $29.99. No,
done.
Wipe right here.
Done. Yeah.
Also, see that.
I'm a kid, and you'll feel that vibe, right? Like Transformers. Like how many robot things have we seen in our lifetime? I wanted this to be a little bit different, but a little bit familiar there. The pile of robots that you saw there, definitely we've said I mean, come on, there's some things that are definitely standing out. The one little blue head, though, I gotta say, I'll give you guys this. The blue head in the far right corner,
bottom right, yeah,
that's actually a Flowbot. I used to work for the band Flowbots from Denver, and we actually, well, look at this. We this is a long time ago now, but I would draw sketch cards of the Flowbots. Each Flowbot had a number. I'm Flowbot number 13. There were 7 members of the Flowbots band. They had Flowbot 5. So that's Johnny 5, the blue robot there. And I drew a comic called Flowbots for them online. And it's a very similar, thought process of transmitting ideas across time and space that I came up with, that I kind of was like, okay, you want some deep science fiction? I got it. Like, so, but that was a little shout out to Johnny 5 of the Flowbots.
I love that.
But also see, that's the head of Balance Beetle's like headquarter. I mean, all the domes they're in, they all kind of look like the V dome too. Like there's a lot of, it's like the shape and the colors and stuff. Like there was a lot of, but you only see that if you know the cartoons.
Nice.
People who are completely new to it might not make that connection.
Yeah, and you only see it briefly at the beginning of that cartoon.
Yeah.
And the reason I did that was and I didn't talk to Gary about that at all, and I don't even think we've ever spoken about it. I just kind of did it, and he was like, "That's cool," and I'm like, "Yeah." because whenever we were working with Moonbug and the scripts were coming in for that, the scripts were fine. I was like, okay, it is what it is. And I was brand new at the time pretty much, and I didn't really have a whole lot of feedback or knew that I could give feedback really. And when I saw the art come through, I thought, I don't know what this is. I was like, I just was confused. I was confused about VeeFriends because I was like, wait, why do the characters look different? And it was confusing to me. And Gary's like, well, we'll give it a try. Like he's willing to show different versions of the characters. And I was like, well, I'm going to put that. If that's true, then okay, let's try some different versions of characters. Right. But I always thought like, wow, this stuff looks futuristic. This V-Dome looks like the Jetsons to me. It looks like I wasn't sure if it was like did they not look at VeeFriends and like the NFT backgrounds and stuff like I had been? Like I was like they didn't want to do that. Like I was like, hey, there's a forest in the back of this episode. Can we add frowns to the trees? And they're like, well, we can never have frowns on the trees because kids won't like frowns. And I'm like, yeah, but we have a frowning forest. Because it's like I'm just trying. I was so early on when we weren't even making comics at the time, but I was like, shouldn't we connect things to the VeeFriends universe? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. So I can't say that I was a big fan of that. It was confusing to me, but I understand that it served a purpose, but it wasn't connected. So I thought it was cool though. When you saw that opening, you're like, and the theme song and the VeeFriends theme song that came from Gary too, like the challenge brings the change. And like, we had an awesome theme song producers. And I was like, I want to take elements of these things that are cool and make them canon. And how can we connect it? Cause I said, what if the show was taking place with VeeFriends in the future? That's why they look different. Like in my mind, I was making sense of it because I just couldn't make sense of it. I'm like, why did they draw the elephant like that? Why is there a moon necklace? Right. I was asking all these questions that no one really had the answer to at the time. But Gary's answer was always, I'll play. Like, let's play. Let's try. Like, let's see how it goes. Like, I trust them. You know, they know what they're doing with as far as kid shows and things like that goes. Let's go with the experts. And I still think it's definitely a fine thing. Now if I can get more people to go back and watch those cartoons and go like, oh, whoa, look at the shape of the doorways, you know, like, you know, I really like that. So,
I mean, it's blatantly obvious. I think it's not as cool of a catch as Ann just brought up, but like, you know, the helmet that kind of looks like Mikey's helmet in issue 1 with the heart on it, you know, where the symbol changes, that's in the pile.
Yeah. And a lot of those robots, I mean, it's not like it's a hidden secret. They're pretty there.
Right.
There's a Heart Trooper origin story, which I still consider canon because that came from Gary. Like Gary's text message or voice memo to me was saying, here's this, it was a Sunday newspaper strip before we did the newspaper strips.
Sure.
And he's like, this is the origin of the Heart Trooper. And so those other robots that are in there were kind of like, why did they not make it? Right. And so I think there's little signs on there that says too eager, too not patient enough or whatever on those things. And then like by the end, the Heart Trooper, is he a robot? Is he not? Or does he have a soul? So there's a lot of connections like with that part to me. So I was like, I'm going to put those parts of that robot in for sure, or those robots, just because I thought it was a fun throwback again. Because if he said, DJ, all the comic strips, they're alpha age. Like, no offense, DJ, but those comics don't make sense, or they don't count. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, but some of them could. And I was like, all right. And then I'm like, but so I do consider the ones like Gratitude Gorilla, stuff that had Gary's phone call to me saying, this is it. You ready? You know, this is Alert Ape, you know, or this is Gratitude Gorilla, like whatever those are, I still consider those. He's not going to change off of that, what's stuck in his head as the origin of those characters. It might change when it's in a comic book, but at least those nuggets are there.
I wanted to ask, you guys changed at some point the newspaper ones to kind of be stories between the different issues. Do you consider those canon?
Yes. Yeah. Because there was 2 shifts now in the Sunday comics. One shift was, okay, let's stop with the alpha age stuff where it's just like the people person problem and the VeeFriends come and help. he was like, we need to have stuff that connects to the canon, stories that are already out. So like something that's just an addition, because he's okay with that. He's like, if we can tell a story, like I've already we know what happened in issue 2. There's a world there. There's a world happening there. I would call it almost like the fairy tale world of VeeFriends. There's definitely like there's a wizard and they're talking about dragons and there's a frowning forest, and we go back there again and again, and there's a castle and all that stuff. There's definitely that kind of world or scene or whatever you might want to call it happening there. And I just lost my train of thought with that. But what was I saying?
We're talking about
we're talking about the Sunday comics.
Oh, the Sunday. That's right. So yeah, there was the switch where suddenly it was the gnome talking about they're rehashing the carrot getting stolen, and that's where we started that whole new thing. And then I went on I was like, okay, I guess I'm just telling a story B through all the wizard stuff and like and it was fine, but he was still kind of like not paying attention to that stuff. He was just like, yeah. I would send him notes and be like, what if there's a town called? And he's like, maybe, like it wasn't like he was real on fire about like, let's make the comic books. And I think the change was he when he found out, he's like, he's like, DJ, how long? Like, I forget how it came up, but he's like, I said, it takes about 10 hours to make one of those Sunday comics the way I was doing them. And he's like, that's ridiculous. We don't need you doing that for 10 hours every week. And I was like, what do you mean? I split it up. And he's like, hire someone else to do it. Or, like we can do that. Like, we need your brain over here with like the building of like cover B artists and like all that stuff. And I'm like, okay. And it was sad because I was like, but I still like to do it. And he's like, I don't want you. And also to his credit, and he was saying, DJ, I know you would work hundreds of hours a week or whatever. He's like, but I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to burn out. I want you to be able to take a vacation. I don't want you to be worried about hustling on these Sunday comics deadlines. I want you to take care of yourself. And it's a long game. It's a marathon with these stories. And I was like, okay, I appreciate that. And then this last summit, the next shift was pretty much just killing that. Like saying like, okay, let's not make any net new stories at all. Let's focus, double down. And why not? These stories are so cool. Why don't we switch it up and just start telling the stories a little bit? Maybe we won't. I don't know if we'll do the full run of a comic, probably, because why wouldn't we? Because like, what's the impact versus the intention? That's a new thing that Gary's been saying a lot internally. It was like the impact of your time taking 10 hours to do this new thing that maybe a few people read in the newspaper. And then, of course, our community loves it. Kowski and whatever are out there like posting and I'm really into it every week. And that feels good for me. But it's like, but what's that doing for the brand?
Right. If
our goal is to make more collectors, and he's like, DJ, your 10 hours, I'd rather have you spending knocking down the door on, I almost said the name, big cover. I'm not going to do it, Tom. I'm a seal. I'm a locked ship. But he's right, because I was like, well, there were days where I was like, ooh, I was so busy with other stuff that I was like, I didn't get around to I could have been emailing these people and really getting ahead on things. So I really was like, okay, he's right. No one cares. Like, he's like, no one cares, DJ. I'm sorry. Like, there's not that many people that care if you switch it up in the newspaper. If anything, they might see this robot and go, oh, what is this now? Like, what is it? Because it's still the best looking thing in the comic strips or in the comic book newspapers, or Sunday newspaper comics. Like, they're all like phoned in and like they're, I don't want to say they're boring, but it's just very tame. And like suddenly you turn the page and you've got Rare Robot and this adventure happening in there. So we couldn't put Motivated Monster in the newspaper, but we'll pick and choose. Yeah.
You brought up the theme song earlier. Was that something you decided to incorporate, or was that like decided as a group?
It was just something that I think no one mentioned it. I just look at everything that was out there, our Rare Robot so far. And that was the biggest thing, right? Like, it was already a song and it was there. And like, they would play it as like a joke occasionally or something, like it felt like it would play in the background. And I just was like, when I first started writing the lyrics, or writing the song, or not song, the script, I took the lyrics of the song and wrote them down on the board, and I was like, what could this mean? Are the lyrics of this song, could I make them mean something? Like he runs on positive energy. And like, what does that mean? And like, can I make that meaningful? So when you hear that song now, after you've read the book, it's different. It just hits different now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like you said, like you're connecting things that weren't quite connected before. And like just the world just kind of, the whole universe just kind of grows with that. It all makes sense now why certain things are there.
Yeah. Not easy to find, one of a kind. We open up right with the, I can't, they're looking for him. Oh, here he is over here. You know, he's not easy to find, but there he is. Another thing I'd say, like when I look at that, I'm looking at the panel now, just the head with void eyes. I had seen that the robot was drawn different ways a couple times, you know, just the nature of it. And I was like, what if you picture it, it's hard to see in a comic, but like that's a void. You could stick your hand in there or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when it's alive, it's like a hologram screen. So it could have the eyes and the different expressions and whatever you'd want, or it could turn red, you know, it'd be mad or yellow or whatever, you know. So use the colors as a emotional, you know, vehicle.
I love that. There's so much in this issue. Like there's so many little Easter eggs, and I think that's what Tom meant earlier too, because you are so ingrained into this world, and I feel like you were also the one, first of all, like who wrote most of the stories, so you really tapped into all the different stories of him, of the different characters. You probably, of the whole comics team, know Gary the most, so really know everything, like what's going on, have the closest relationship with him. So yeah, I feel like you can really translate a lot easier, like what he's trying to tell with these characters, and I feel like that really comes through with all the little things. Like there was there's something I want to know about the
well, there's this when he goes back and comes back, that's issue 1. You know, that's his first appearance, and then he says we escaped Burn Island in the nick of time. I went back to issue 1. You know, in issue 1, I won't lie, it's been a while since I read it. I kind of forgot Rare Robot was in it. I mean,
that's right.
Stuff, and then he's just gone.
He's gone
in the issue. He's there, and he said something about like getting the vehicle.
And he's gone like, for a little while.
What's that?
Yeah, then he's not there for a few pages, and then he's back, kind of back.
And then he just kind of disappears, and I went, oh yeah, he was there. And like I knew he was on the cover because I remember I see the cover, J. Scott Campbell, Rare Robot, seeing that ahead of time and be like, great. And then he's like, oh well, Otter says, you know, you guys are on track to that cynical cat. He goes, sounds like a plan. That's it. He's gone for the rest of the issue, and I forgot about it, and that's where he went. I mean, it has to be so.
Or
that was cool.
And from the get-go, he plugs the thing into the side of his head. You know, the supercomputer 5000 or whatever. It's a supercomputer, I think, you know, and so like, and he says like, can we take the vehicle? So he's the first person that said, you know what I mean? So like, there's definitely some play with there too. So there you go. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I loved that. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I got to go back. And that's what I mean. I don't think if someone else was writing this issue, you wouldn't get that. Right. And that's why I'm like every time you write one, I feel like I'm going to be like pull out the magnifying glass, you know?
Right.
So
I love that it's called the AI. You know, clearly AI was like it's the AI.
Right.
Yeah.
Like those little things like that. It's like
I had the little sketch of the weird robot thing in my notebook. Because I was just like, what could weird little robots look like? And I'm like, ooh, this looks like an eye. And I'm like, the more I said it, I was like, AI. And I'm like, oh, AI.
Right.
So,
it just makes sense when you see it, you know?
It's very clever.
Scanner, you know, yeah. So
see when you
cool toy, right? If it was a drone,
that
you could fly around, it would be creepy. But cool.
Now, when I saw organics, as you're a sci-fi guy, like I thought replicants from Blade Runner, you know, similar, but I love the added layer of the 5-year, the lifespan dilemma. I memean, I just thought that was super clever, and the way that it just makes it so different. But I am curious. I Googled, ChatGPT, looked up their names, and I pulled up nothing. Is it just random? Like, we talked to Chris Faison for Gary B. I was like, what do the numbers mean? He was like, my birthday's 10-3. That's why.
That's right.
I was
That's
like,
right.
okay.
Yeah. That's an easy one too, because like I had just Mark, with a Q. I thought that was clever. Mark
Yeah.
and Meg. And I think I named Meg to honestly, like, because again, I went back to that old comic strip I did in 2000 or whatever. There was a character named Meg in there, so I was like, oh, it's Meg. That's an easy one to use. And when I was reading through with Gary, that's one of the changes, because Gary's like, listen, it's in the future, they'd have different names. Like, they wouldn't just be like Meg, it would be like Meg 44B, or and I was like, okay. And so like he actually said those numbers in our meeting, and I wrote them down, and I word for it. It was definitely weird to like read it out loud, because I was like, Mark 44B, it's kind of like, but to them it makes sense.
Sure.
Just as if we went back in time 500 years, none of what we say right now would make much sense.
Yeah, it's in line with sci-fi.
Sure.
Stormtroopers have numbers and stuff like that.
And you might go like, was there a Mark 41P or
right? That's what I'm saying. I think that's cool.
Like, who knows?
I went to Iron Man Mark 1, Mark 2, 5, Mark whatever, but spelled differently or whatever. And I was like, are there? If every 5 years, do they just make another one, and can they transplant brains or whatever?
You don't see many more people or organics. It's those three.
Mm-hmm.
Those three, and one's green.
Yeah.
And that one has very interesting glasses too.
Yeah.
That looks a lot like a certain wizard.
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm.
But it only has 1 star.
There's another pair of those glasses in that issue too. Did you see that?
Oh shit. No.
Kowski found it already.
Son of a bitch.
A little earlier on. I think it's page
we need page numbers, by the way.
Yeah, we've debated that.
Okay.
Page 4.
Oh yeah, the guy with a red helmet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it here.
Under the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you guys did you guys read the Sunday comics? Do you know what those glasses are?
I don't.
I never read them, but I don't remember the glasses story around it.
Well, homework. And we have homework. That's okay. That's exciting. God,
there's so many things like in the backgrounds and stuff, and I was like, is that something?
I know. I do that.
Like a lot of like, that's the thing. Like, you're spending so much time, and I did with this one. You kind of entertain yourself too. I want to make sure that I'm entertained as I'm working on it. And again, I know the end goal is, when I put this in front of Gary, he's the ultimate litmus test. If Gary's not entertained by it, it's not going to fly. And like I said, I don't take that for granted, because Gary hears a lot of ideas, a lot of bad ideas, So like, if he's actually saying like, this is good, or if it's a comedy book and he laughs, like howls at it, like I know, like, oh, okay, cool. Because he hears a lot of stuff. So I'm it never gets old to like have him go like, this is freaking good, So
I think the cool thing is too, like I said, I love little Easter eggs, but I'm not somebody who will go through the whole issue and try to find them. Like for me, and I think everybody has like different ways of what's most exciting for them in a comic book, or what they look forward to. For some people, it's really just the art, getting it in. For some people, it's like looking to all the Easter eggs. For me, it's really the story and the essence of it. Like that's what draws me to it. That's why I'm like, I will see some little things. Like I saw the glasses on the guy in the green, but I'm not somebody who like would go through an issue and like trying to find every little thing, because I feel like for me it's more like how somebody said something, or how I felt when I read something. Like what it brought it up for me is kind of like why I read the comics. That it's like there's always one panel at least in here that I connect to something in my own life, or like it brings something up for me, or like I felt that, or it's almost like a little mini therapy, if you will. Because I always see something that all of a sudden brings something up, and I'm trying to figure out what that is. It was like a color that really like, or like a panel that's just like beautiful, and I can't tell you why. It's just like that something brings something up, or if it's like a word or a sentence that just sits with me. So I feel like everybody reads comics out of their own perspective, like what they want to get out of, which is cool.
Yeah, I want to try to do something really quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We'll try this. If you guys will have to add it to the... You'll
Yep.
have to add... There you go. So this was a Sunday comic whenever the... This was one of those ones that was like between the things, right? So Wizard's trying to get into this cave. He slips, he falls. He basically dies, or like he's just wiped out. And they're like, oh, so Fairy King and Fairy Queen are here from issue 2. That poor old soul, and you see his glasses are laying over there. And then the Fairy King's picking them up, going, oh, magic glasses. He won't be needing these. I want to see if they work. I've heard they can see into other worlds. And then she's like, enough fairy tales. Remember the mission, right? And of course, like they apparently put a spell on him that brings him back to life, or they're thinking he's dead, and then he comes back to life.
So when you made that comic, did you already knew about the story?
A little bit, yes.
Because this Sunday comic was, I'm pretty sure, after the first summit, and you said this one was partly, at least, the story a little bit created throughout that first summit.
Absolutely. Yeah. We just didn't have all the pieces yet. But I knew that would be something. Like those wizard glasses, when you see them, I might not even know the complete context to that. There's a lot of the wizard I don't know. I've tried to get out of Gary, actually, where I'm like, let's talk about the wizard. And I'll say, I think it's this. And he's like, nope. And then now I do know a lot, actually, now that he's like, nope, he's this, 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 this. And I'm like, okay, all right, I can play with that. But that's like the most, when you look at those little character, like that's the thing that stands out the most to me is those glasses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Staff and his little stubby hand. So it's interesting.
Well,
another cool little side note that I think if you read previous ones is when the spaceship comes in and it says Shinoda class. It's like instantly that was comic 7, the ninjas. And then like I think you had made a reel recently where you kind of connected some of these things, or like looked at the different things, and then I went back and was like, oh my god, like because in comic 7 they were fighting about it, and like when the first time you see the name, they're fighting about these plans. Are the plans for the spaceship? Like what's going on? But again, you start rereading the comics and trying to make connections, which is the cool part. Even you can read both of them and they're completely disconnected and totally fine to read by themselves.
That's right.
But it gets somebody who gets into it now back into reading them again and making connections, which is super cool.
Yeah. And, it is canon that there is a V world, even though it's not like, I don't think it's Gary's favorite thing, because like he didn't ultimately, I didn't know that he didn't come up with it. They told me about, like somebody internally was like, oh, V world. And, that's a place and these locations and stuff. And that's kind of why I developed it. I didn't just make it up. It was just a lot of internal notes, but then to find out that those internal notes weren't actually Gary, right? Like there was a lot of other idea people and things coming in. And I don't think Gary was ever like really locked onto that, but V World exists. And like the way that I laid out the reality layers, like I've talked about in the past, Gary was down with, because he's like, I want to go deep. What is reality? Like all that stuff. Like how do things connect? He had some other layers to it. He has some other layers beyond that I can't really say. But in my context, I'm like, okay, if there is another place, if there's a dream world or an imagination realm or whatever you want to call it, how do you get back and forth from there? And can science figure that out?
Right.
Could it be through a vehicle? Could it be through maybe some of these characters just are able to just show up when you need them, like a spirit or a soul, or
can you see it through glasses?
a figment of your imagination, or do you see them through glasses? And you've
Mm.
seen that, right? I think there's some weird stuff on TikTok too, where they're like, there's a whole TikTok hole that you can go down where these people say like, when we change the color of our glasses, we can actually see into other worlds. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. That's a different science fiction, vibe. There was a show called Fringe where they did the looking glass thing, and there's actually some science to that stuff. Like some people say like, oh, when you change the whatever frequency going into glass, you can actually see like aliens that are here amongst us and stuff like that. So that's a fun, it's either conspiracy theory or it's like, wow, that's really wild science fiction, which is fun. It's good.
Which is fun.
Great escapism.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was on purpose and if that's a real connection, but the Shinoda class, when they bring that up on the plans, is when they are in Shiba, if I say that correctly, which is in Japan where the earthquake is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Adam Slips, which is Adam Rips, and Adam speaks Japanese. Did you know that?
I did know that.
So I'm like, this all makes sense now to me.
I don't think that was on. I mean, I don't think that was on purpose. No, that's just like a weird happenstance. There are no coincidences, Anne. Everything's connected, even in the real world here. Yeah, I found out. Funny story. We're talking in the office one day at a meeting, and somebody said something about Japanese plants or something, and the most Japanese person in the room, we've got a team member named Hanako who's Japanese, and she's like, and then Rips just starts speaking fluent Japanese, and everybody was like, what the? And he's like, don't tell anybody because they'll make me go to the plants and talk to, they'll fly me around the world to talk Japanese. I was like, wow, man, that's really awesome though. Like he's full of surprises, that Rips.
Yeah, what the frig?
Yeah, what the frig?
I was cracking up. I didn't know about Adam Slips. I was laughing. I'm like, he's 13. That's funny. What the frig is funny. Everything's funny about it.
I think he's 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
Character design wise too. I hit on that at a couple conversations that people had with me, but I wanted the organics to feel like Johnny Quest or something like that, like a Alex Toth, like a big legendary comic artist, was all about like keeping it simple, sleek. It was actually faster to draw too. I got to be honest. Like I didn't have to worry about pouches or, keeping it. It's pretty simple, right? Keeping it clean.
There's just so many little things in there.
You're funny to talk to. I love every time we get to chat, man. Yeah. Oh God. What an issue. I'm telling you, this was, I feel like there was a lot of buzz around Kind Warrior. And I love that 8, 9, and 10 were all written art, same person, right? They did feel more cohesive. But man, a lot of people, like Jay's not a big comic reader. He was like, I love the Jetsons and I'm getting Jetsons vibe, so there's I've had a lot of, and in fact, I did it last time with Ryan Turner. This time I did ask someone to give some questions, and he was pumped to be able to ask some. And I didn't mean to cut, if you have more questions before the end of the issue, but he had some questions about the issue too. Want me to run with it?
I can do something else after.
Okay. So I asked Dan the Man, and he said before he was pumped that I asked him, and he said, thank you, because this is definitely top 3. So we've done top 3, and honestly, it changes every episode. But I would ask for the robot and for the other, but how much thought goes into pre-canon age appearances? And Laura, you kind of touched on this, like the robot song is always considered to try to tie in. So you kind of mentioned that. How much of the story progression in each book is made? Have they thought through future plot and just choose a stopping point for the end of the book? Or do you have more?
There's more. Yeah. Okay. There was actually, this issue was probably double. Okay. And as I wrote it, I how do you say, like, you want to subtract what's not necessary
Mm-hmm.
to tell in this story, because like even, and Gary's really good at that too. Because I want to pack everything in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can pack a lot into 24 pages or whatever. But I'm like, wait, you know what? This is fine enough. You know, it could have been like, could I have thrown in, I think the original script, I had a scene where they actually did capture Rips, take him back to the thing, and they're about to dissect him, and then they rescue him from the dissection. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not really necessary. Like I can cut to the cool scene with the theme song, and you know, like it still hits that beat without showing those 4 pages or whatever. So that was fine. And then it sets it up for maybe that's a plot in the future. Maybe they do capture him, right? So like, and where are they going? Like there's definitely, we have a good path for that. For sure.
Again, you kind of covered most of these, but one that I thought was pretty interesting. If you had a theme song, what would your theme song be?
Oh, I used to have a theme song that I wrote on ukulele called Anger Management.
Okay.
But I'm not angry anymore, so it doesn't really track. So
well, that's good to hear.
But I don't know what it would be now. Gosh.
Something Pearl Jam.
Maybe not. I'm a big Shaky Graves fan now, so there's probably a Shaky Graves fan. There's a song called Never Alone. And if you look up the lyrics of that song, and I think it's funny because like no matter where I'm at, if I look around my house, my dog is probably staring directly at me. Like she's probably outside this door right now listening. So like I'm never alone. Like she's always up, you know, right beside me.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Shout out to Dan the Man, TCG champion.
Yeah.
Anne, did you have more questions? Because
I wanted to just touch on that. I really love when the robot turns red. I think he's somebody described him as almost like a golden retriever the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
After it's like a little puppy. He's like so kind and only sees the best in everything and everybody. And then, but when you push his button too far, like when you just go past his values, then it's like, no, it's enough. Like I'm gonna let a lot of things happen, and I think we all have that moment. I just seem very human.
Yeah.
Of like, it doesn't matter how kind you are. We all have our stopping point, but now it's enough.
Yeah, and I think it's like he probably would let you take him apart because he's so nice. Like, oh hey, what you doing there? You know, like just you're tearing off his arms and putting him into a pile, a scrap heap, and he wouldn't care. But the minute you're messing with his friends, then it changes, right? He's going to defend his friend, and he makes friends quickly as well, and trusts people, you know, beyond much that he should have. You know, like, oh wow, you were right. Those things wanted to eat me, but okay, we've got a lot of work to do. You know, like there's always like that positive, the positive side of the future, right? That's it. That kind of leans back to what, like, even though this future is like whack, and there's this giant monster head that wants to eat and consume everything so that it can, you know, figure out its lifespan dilemma, there's still an optimistic robot, you know, or optimistic character there. Like the spirit of VeeFriends is definitely, even though I wanted more VeeFriends to be in this episode, I feel like we definitely get the vibe of VeeFriends just through concentrated in robot. I like that.
For me, it almost was a little bit, maybe it was because it was the issue right after. It reminded me a little bit of Kind Warrior, that for me personally, Kind Warrior, we always talk about, has a shield and a sword. And he always just uses the shield. Always just like let it all fly off of you. But the sword is there if you need it. Worst case scenario. And I feel like that's what I saw when I saw the robot of like, always just the shield. Everything is cool. I'm fine. The moment you push me too far, or the moment you're like, I have to go past my values, or you're like, you hurt somebody I care about, I do have a sword if I have to get it out. I feel like I saw like Kind Warrior and I feel it's cool. You're going to see sometimes different characters in another character.
Yeah. I think there's going to be themes that you're seeing them already, right? Like kindness. It's like the things Gary talks about. We've got a lot of them. We don't just have, with great power comes great responsibility. We've got multiples of those. Like we've got legacy. What does it mean? What do these family legacies mean? What does finding your true self mean? Like there's definitely these patterns, and kindness, like how can we kill them with kindness, or instead of war, or whatever, violence or any kind of negativity, like the power of positivity over negativity. Or even like when you've been crushed, like there's always going to be these themes that like happen, like, oh, the challenge brings the change. Like that's an echo too that's going to come up over and over and over again. What if we work together to adapt and survive, right? Like there's always those core values of VeeFriends that we're trying to shine through, and that's fun. That's really fun for us to plant those and make, not just plant them, but like they land pretty heavy when you see them. They're like, damn, that's good. So
you kind of answered, like, is there a word, if you had to describe this comic book or the essence of this comic book in a word, what would it be for you?
Fun. It's fun. That's it. Fun. And if there's another word, it's just fun and thoughtful. Like hopefully all these comics make you think in some different, even if you read that, like when you guys say you read them on the surface and you're like, oh, okay. And then you're like, do you think about them? Like when you're like in the shower, you're going, wait a minute, hold on a moment. Like you want to come back to it and see it again. That's kind of the repeat factor.
I wanted to ask something. So I don't think it's for some reason Gary mentioned on a live yesterday that comic 12 and 13 would be mini issues.
No,
that's kind of a preview
I think he was I heard him say that, and I think he was just like being facetious.
Like
he was like, yep, they're gonna be mini issues. No mini issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I think we're past that.
I must say though, this is some alpha for you, is we did talk about real mini comics like at the summit the last time. So that's interesting.
What's a real mini comic?
What do you mean a real mini
like
comic?
How can we so I'm always big like they don't it's like Jim and I and the comics team, and especially Ali Castro, we know about webtoons, we know about comics in all their forms, and for me, I've always been a big web comics fan, and you can see what you can do with carousels and stuff like that. There's plenty of web comics that are very popular, that are story comics and things like that can do carousels. So just thinking, like, are some of these stories actually, smaller stories, but not mini, not like what we were putting out, like 12-page, but like, could they be in a different format and come in a different format? So it's probably all I should say about that. But it's like, that's interesting because, like, what if we have a big story idea that involves an ensemble of characters, but it can't necessarily, it could necessarily be a 22-page comic, but almost if you force it to be, it wouldn't be. It'd be kind of like, like they forced that to go 22 pages. We don't want to do that. There's plenty of comics that do that, Tom, where there's like 22 pages of like nothing happens, and we just don't want to do that. So
sure,
there could be, out of these 250 characters that we have, there might be some like a Monday Mole or something like that that could be something different, take a different form of comics.
Sure.
Yeah. Would be cool. Do you have a favorite panel?
Favorite panel in this episode? And it's funny I'm calling it episode. It's funny.
Well, we can do ours while you think.
And
do you want to go first?
I have two. Like one of them is the one where he turns all red, because I feel like it reminded me of just being human. Of like you can be a good person, but like we all had that. It doesn't matter how good you are. We all have a moment where just like you're just like angry at the world or angry at what somebody did. And the other one is this one.
Yeah, wow.
I love the color on this one. Like I keep looking at it. Like I could see this just as a picture framed, and I love just like the symbol of like I know a place with some friends. That's like, again, like every time there's something about friends or like friends needed, is like the essence of VeeFriends for me. Like that's where a lot of us found friendship, in this place, and I feel like that's always where that always will get me. But like just the color of the purple and the blue and it getting darker, and it's like It's just so stunning. Make it a print.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, it's going to be forever iconic, right? But it's not.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the double splat. I mean, I just think that's just outstanding. The villain's like lair. I just think it's unbelievable. Yeah. Is there any other double splash like this in any other book?
I think in B, there's a spread.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Of the whole hive. You're right.
Yeah.
I think I even commented on that, but I love a splash page. So
of course, shout out Jack Kirby, who always sits on my desk. You know, I look at some of the things around that you can't see that are just like the new gods and like definitely that spirit of like, oh, okay, like we need a Jack Kirby head in this in this universe. So my favorite. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just showing it one more time for our listeners. In the middle of the book where the reveal of the head and it's both page, one big picture. That was my favorite.
Those are all really great panels, actually, because now that I'm looking at those final panels of the book are really like awesome. Like Chris Faison said it before on the Making Comics Now podcast, like you want to hit that first spread, like the first page should hit like, ooh, right? So that pile of robot parts, that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
But my actual favorite panel that when I was drawing it, I was giggling and I'm like, oh, this is fun. Was when he's put in the jail cell and he's waving like, oh, this is fun.
I love that.
Don't worry about me. And I think like to that point, like either when he's waving through the glass or when Adam Slips is about to break through and he's just kind of sitting there patiently waiting for like his rescue or like
it's like his hands sitting there calm.
It was just,
I love that.
I was having a good time drawing that because it's a very simple panel, but it was like there's so much there of calmness and I kind of feel like in a way,
like there's so much happening in the background. He's just like,
not phase, like, oh, here comes somebody now. In a way, and I'm only thinking of this live right here, right now, would be like if there was one VeeFriend, and maybe this is the reason that he's so rare, is that he encompasses all of the VeeFriends traits. He's calm, he's patient, he's kind, he's empathetic, he's aggressive and competitive when he needs to be. He's adaptable because he's like he's everything that the VeeFriends encompass. That's why he's so rare.
I love that.
Yeah,
it's a great issue. I love especially the color in this one. Like I remember like seeing the cover for the first time and just like the color combination is just like for me just like instantly drew me in. And then just going through the issue was just like, I think the first time I went through, I don't even think I read it. I just went through, wanted to just like see the coloring and the pictures and stuff of it because it really drew me in. There's like so many just panels where there's just so much to see and you want to look at it and there's so much detail in it and stuff. Like the double page too is like, this is very different than the outside is and stuff. It's like, there's just, I love the coloring in this one.
Well, I appreciate that because like it's a lot of fun to do the coloring, but I've always been intimidated by coloring. I don't know why. Like I've gotten pretty decent at it.
Yeah.
And but for a long time I was like, it would be the thing that slowed me down the most, and that's why I didn't like it. But now I've got a pretty good process for doing it, and I'm you can see it. It's very poppy and vivid. If you told me to draw this like dark, moody thing, I could probably do it, but I wouldn't be having any fun. Working on it. So I like the vivid. It's a comic book, so I just wanted to pop, especially that cover.
Yeah.
And there's a nuclear explosion going off, and no one's even.
I know. I was wondering about that a couple times because, like, you mentioned something earlier too about something. Was like, again, there's like so much going on in the whole book. I was like, oh man, have we talked about this yet?
I just want people to question that, like, what's real and what's not. Like, it's interesting,
I even like took the cover upside down and like tried to see like maybe there's something hidden.
I don't know. I'll try that next time.
I never thought to do that.
Or it's like, I think the deeper layer there is like even toying, because I don't know, because nobody really knows. It's like what you've been told. This is a comic book that you're reading, after all. Like, it's not a real thing. That is it. Is Rare Robot aware that he's not a real thing? You know what I mean? Like, is he aware of him being in an entertainment property? Right? Like, there could be that, and it could be that maybe it is propaganda. What if humans did blow themselves up? And that's the cover. It's like, whoa, like, what if there was? And obviously, if you see the one panel, even when they're saying when things are pretty rosy, there was something that happened.
Right.
But you can see the little robot heads on the ground and like the anti-AI people. And like, so there was some kind of conflict.
Yep.
But whatever history buttered it over was like, oh no, it was all fine. Everything's utopia. There's flying cars. And that sounds like the perfect propaganda, right? So
yeah,
that's the toying with, like, you don't know what side to believe. So just believe in the characters, believe in the kindness and the spirit of it, you know? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the humans are real. Obviously, Adam Slip says he came from Utopia to rescue the robot, you know? But was it a distress signal? Because obviously it didn't seem like it was. He was just trying to find friends. He was just trying to call a friend. Yeah.
So our whole lives are sitting on Adam's shoulders. Great.
A 13-year-old Adam Slip.
The only reason I turned the character green, that happened live on a stream, by the way, was I was drawing it and he was just flesh colored. And
the
head manager.
The
head manager. Yeah, that's the head manager.
He
I was drawing him and he was flesh toned, and someone said it looked like Lobot from Star Wars, and I was like, nope. So I just changed him green right there on the stream. I was like, nope, he's green. And I gave him a goatee too, like a little. I drew that live on the on one of the Whatnot streams. Yeah.
Which I just too early for me.
Because I was like, wait, it does look a little like Lobot. No, can't do that. So right? I was like, I didn't even notice, and I'm like, oh, it looks a little like Lobot. Nope. We'll change it right now because he's right.
That's
hilarious. A little thing on the side of the head. Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay. See? This is where we learn the stuff.
Yeah.
This is why you listen to this, listeners. Well, thank you again. This has been a blast. It's always fun talking to you.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing this, and it's entertaining, and hopefully, a lot of people are. It seems like a lot of people are listening and really getting a lot out of these conversations. So it's cool.
Yeah, we just crossed 100 subscribers, which is, I think this is the first episode that we're recording since we have, right, Ann? Or did we have it last week? I don't remember, but either way, we're super grateful. That may not sound like a lot in YouTube world. It means a lot to us.
It's a lot, actually.
And it's a lot easier to get followers on Whatnot, that's for sure. But yeah, no, this has been so much fun. It's so fulfilling for me to be able to, chat with Ann and then chat with the team. And you guys have been so gracious and generous. And we know that you help us out a lot too, maybe giving a little nudge for people to join us, because we didn't know how to get in touch with Chris Faison. So
he's out there.
But that was a fun episode. I loved Gary B issue. So like that was a fun one. And he's I feel like he's someone that, we got comments about. We didn't really know much about him. We ran a few words. He didn't, at Comic-Con, you really didn't get to talk to him. So people really, really enjoyed that one. We got a lot of good feedback, but
yeah, I can't wait for you to get Gary on. That'll be interesting. We'll see.
One day.
Yeah. And yeah,
I won't hold my breath.
He has to earn it. Okay. Not everybody gets to go up. Okay?
It'll be fun to look back at this 20 years from now. Because when I look at all this stuff, I think a lot like Gary, where it's like, I wish that I could have these things, and not to compare ourselves to the old greats. They just happen to be old greats because they're old greats. Like they're long gone and they made a lot of cool stuff. It'll just be cool to like look back and be like, I wish Joe Simon or Jack Kirby or Stan Lee had done things like this to get more context. There's some like old magazine articles and things that you can read and like see what they said about certain things or old books that we read, but like actually having the documentation of these conversations about what these books and stories are about is super cool. So thank you for doing it.
You keep making them, we'll keep talking about it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, 2 a month. 2 a month for now, as far as the time of recording this. It might be more. You know, you never know. So
gosh, we gotta
Gary can say quadruple it, and I'll be like,
keep up then with the podcast.
I know. Well, at least it gives us topics, and we're all caught up now. We you know, this was supposed to be bi-weekly, by the way. It's kind of technically your fault that it's not, DJ, because like you were our first guest, and we were going to do once every other week because we were like, you know, we didn't know if we could keep up with once a week. And then yours got split into 2 episodes, and then people they were like, I want this every week. And we were like, can we do this? And then Rips talks a lot. So that got split into 2 episodes, and we're like, all right, let's do it. And now we're caught up, and you guys are giving us stuff to talk about every week.
And educating people on comic books. Like I said, like Adam, you know, I think he said in your interview too, like he wasn't really well versed in comic books. And the more like, it's fun watching him get excited about comics now. Cause like some of these people we've brought to him as like, look who we got. Like there's a big cover artist coming up real soon. And he didn't know who that was. And like, we were in a meeting, and Gary pulls 2 guys that are retailers up on the screen, and they're meeting, and he goes, Jim, tell him who the next cover artist is. And he goes, Bill Sienkiewicz. And the guys went, oh, and like Rips was like, oh, that must be a good name, right? So there you go.
Wait, really? That was real? That's real.
Yeah.
That's shit. That's crazy.
By the time this comes out, I think that'll be news. So you're good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
That must be, is that the Jim Rugg has been, when we had him on, he was like, I'm just got either a draft or like the cover. And he's like, it's from one of my favorite. And I was just like, spill it. And he was like over the moon while talking to us without being.
What is that?
What is that?
Is that an ostrich?
It's an ostrich.
Oh yeah, it is.
Wrestling rink.
This is Form Fights.
Each other.
It's the emu ostrich poster, like the old like boxing wrestling posters we saw.
Oh, is it the one you guys had taken to
Comics Pro next week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a special like preview edition for Farm.
That's what was on the wall.
Yeah,
in the
that's
office.
what I'm saying. The old
yeah, I didn't notice I was in reverse. I should have mirrored my camera. Oh well.
And it's a very it's so that must be, because it's fun.
When you first showed the back, and I'm like, what they're fighting is like farm fights, and then you turn it around, and it's like, yes, it is farm fights.
Yeah, watching Jim like, and that's just the start. Like, it's escalated. Like he's like, I wonder if I can get Bill Sienkiewicz, and there, and he did. So, you know,
I won't lie, it took a second because I don't think I've ever heard someone say his name, and that's just not how I pronounced it in my head.
I know. Yeah,
but like, my God, I mean,
he's like a legend.
And I'll just
educate me.
Well, just to again, it might not.
Yeah,
it might, but like, just look at. I mean, Action Comics, Batman's. That's Green Out, like his Daredevil stuff, Elektra Assassin, like that. The Elektra Assassin one is like the one I always associate.
Yeah,
when I hear his name, because it's the Frank Miller one, and it's just that's wild.
I love when Tom just completely geeks out.
Well, that's mine, like melting name type stuff, you know?
Yeah. And I must admit, like, I had no idea. I'm like, and you don't know what the book looks like yet, but it's wild too. And when he said it, I was like, I just couldn't picture it. And then to see that come in, I was like,
insane.
Wow.
It's just so different from all the other ones.
It's like a drop kick of a
yeah.
Yeah.
It took me a second to figure out what I'm looking at.
Like when it first came through, I was like, what am I looking at here? Is that an ostrich leg? And I'm like, yep, that's an ostrich leg.
But it's so cool because it's so different.
That's right. Yeah.
I think that's been the cool thing too about having so many different cover artists, seeing just like being exposed to different art.
Mm-hmm.
That has been like super cool.
Yeah, I have a you guys will see it next week, I think. Yeah, you probably see it. You'll probably see it. This is backwards though, because I'm in reverse. How do I change my settings? Can I
I think
mirror
we see you
myself?
normal because I see your head is normal. Says stuff to me.
Oh,
It
okay.
does. Yeah,
Oh, great then. As long as I'm not backwards.
I don't think
But-
so.
This is the
Oh my god.
Attack Peter. You can look up Attack Peter.
That's cool looking. Good lord.
Gosh, is that pretty? The detail.
That's Lina. That's like Lina cut. It's like a giant stamp that they make.
Oh.
We'll have an interview with him coming up on Making Comics now too. So like, it's okay because like I think they've already teased that issue coming out. So by the time this comes out,
So this
will
comes
know.
out Wednesday. Are we okay to?
Yeah.
Can cut it out.
No, I think they were supposed to announce the next issue today. I think on a Friday. So
Okay.
And
But
they
cover
did.
artists and all that. That's no bleeps or nothing. Just full send.
yeah, because we're every 2 weeks now. So by the time the other one comes out and goes on sale, then it's like a pause. We have the weekend of sales and by Monday we should be like, I think Friday we're supposed to we teased this a little bit today on some shows,
Mhm.
and then like what the next one will be, because I think Andy did that today,
Mhm.
and then
Yes.
the story and things like that will be revealed later, closer to the launch. So I think the launch of this one's like the 26th, issue 12.
And then also
25th, 26th.
on the YouTube channel, it already has the
Part of it.
name of the cover artist on the title. That's
Yeah,
coming
Jeremy
next.
Heiler did the interior art.
Oh, into it.
And Jim found him too, so he did some other stuff, like some Godzilla fan fiction, and like he's a newer artist, but he's fantastic. He's so fantastic. So it's good stuff.
Wow. What a nuke you just dropped on me.
He's not going to.
That's what's happening in my brain.
I had to do it. I was like, I'm sitting on this, and I know by the time this comes out, you're gonna have that. There's gonna be plenty of buzz going around at the Comics Pro about it, and that's what we're trying to do, right? Like, again, do you think Bill Sienkiewicz would put his name, or David Mack, Bill Sienkiewicz, Jim Rugg, like we're these big names, they're not going to mess with a brand that they don't trust. Like, they see what we're up to, they believe in it, they're for it. It's not just a paycheck. He doesn't really need the money, like it's right. Like, so it's fun. Like, when's he ever drawn a cover like that before? So Jim and I are just having a blast, like getting like these guys to.
What we need is an ostrich. He's like, what?
We let him go. We let him like look at the issue, I think, and just said, do what you want to do. And so that's what he came back with. And we were like, okay, this is perfect.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And that's your first 3 seconds.
Yeah, you can just like tease
some
it,
sort.
show what he showed. Yeah.
Not what he showed, but my reaction to it, like,
what? Well, that's the exact reaction those retailers had. Because like again, we're talking to Rips. He's never heard that name before. And maybe Gary knew, but like no one in the room knew the gravity of it. And Gary's like, Jim, tell him who you got. And those retailers were like, what? Like, how did you get that? It's like, well, Jim's got some, connections. So
yeah,
it's fun.
That's awesome, man. Wow. That's a huge moment.
We're cooking.
Yeah, so cool. And you got to sign us off. I don't think I.
Tom is not going to sleep again.
Yeah, no, that's holy shit. That's awesome. I can't wait.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming on, DJ. We really appreciate all the work you guys have been doing for the comics. I feel like it's a huge step. We feel like for the IP itself, just like the storytelling of it. I feel like it just takes it in a whole different direction that we really, really, really appreciate. But yeah, this is it canon? My name is Anne, and this is Tom. And read more fucking comics, guys.
Yeah, I'll maybe see you back here for issue 18.
Yes.
Yeah.
Book it. Read more comics. You just saw a grown man get super excited about something, you know, over an ostrich drop kicking an emu or whatever. Like, what?
It's wild.
That is wild.
Is wild.
Holy shit. Thank you, DJ.
You're welcome.
This is awesome. Thank you for your time.
I heard you are going to Emerald City Comic Con.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what Andy said.
We've had multiple meetings back and forth with we've had multiple meetings, and I'm like, okay, is this like, we know it's gonna happen, but I'm like, should I book my flight? Like, I probably should, because it's in a couple weeks. Like, I gotta book my flight, and we definitely know that Kate was already gonna be there. Allie was coming up to hang out with her, so like they kind of planned their thing before we did it, and we were like, wait, we're gonna be there too. So like now it's becoming like a whole
fun
kind of thing. And then MegaCon too. So that's May's going to be, my wife liked to remind me, she's like, you're going to be traveling 15 days out of March and you have a deadline to do. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, we'll figure that out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Can you get into Terrificon this year so that I have yet another reason to go back? Because that's the one in Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. And it was always one of my favorites when I was touring and going to them in the Northeast.
Yeah, I think we want to do, we're open to doing more Comic-Cons because like, we just definitely want to be discovered more, but I don't think we want to like, to me, I don't think we need to have a giant budget for that. Like, I don't think we need to bring a giant booth and all that stuff. So like there's a way to do it stealthily and strategically, and that's kind of what I like. So taking over artist alley spots, or
I like that,
just doing like how we do, like, so suddenly they're like, if a bunch of VeeFriends show up and they're like, what the hell, who are these guys? Where's this crowd from? And then that makes people want to know what's going on with VeeFriends, right? So I like doing that.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool, if you saw them in a row and you had the banners that were connected, because like you'll see now that like art reps will have the line of and whatever, like that doesn't get, but if you see a brand as that, and then there's all the artists, and you see the line of comics, issue 1 through 20 or whatever it'll be by New York Comic Con, that'd be really, I think, inviting.
Yeah, we go back to like what Gary said, right? Like what's impact, what's your intention and your impact,
right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the intention of what you're doing? Well, we want to get more readers. You don't necessarily get new readers or new collectors from the floor of a giant Comic-Con. You just don't. Like you're competing with all that stuff up there, but like where people are actually going to talk and have a conversation with David Mack, and then he's talking about VeeFriends. Oh, there's VeeFriends. Oh, look, there's Jim Mahfood. Oh, like there's like a community of conversation happening around your brand, and it makes people feel like they're more connected to it. And that's exactly like the surgical artist alley is like a surgical strike for us, And then we also challenge ourselves, and when we're talking to these bigger companies too, like ReedPop that runs these big conventions, is to explain to like, we're not typical. Like Gary's not a typical businessman, and we're not a typical comic book publisher, and we're trying to do things differently. Maybe, I'm sure people will probably mimic us and do what we're doing, or see how we're doing it and then try to do it themselves, but they won't be as cool because it won't be as authentic and real and from the heart as like we do. So I would do like hotel pop-ups, like let's just do that across the country, like, or comic store meetups, like that would be cool too. So there's different things that we could do that actually bring way more impact, than setting up at mega con, big giant booths and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And Comics Pro is very interesting. So it's a good show. And again, it's like, what are we doing there? Because it's like, we're not in comic book shops yet, but we're going to talk to some of the biggest retailers. And, they might have, we might set up deals with some of them. It's just like, we want to see who wants to mess with us and we want to find the right partners for everything we're doing. Printers, shops, streamers, creators. Like, we just want to make sure everyone has the best intentions, So, all right, cool.
Thank you again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that move. Someone did ask me to see like, or give recommendations of shows, and that's why I figured I'd ask since you brought up Emerald. Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, it's a fun show. So I'm looking forward to it, even though it's a 4-day show. That's a long show.
And walking by, back and forth.
Are you going?
Not leaving.
Yeah, I already got my tickets months ago.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
I'll be there the entire time.
Awesome. Great. That'll be fun.
Great.
Great. No, that's like great. God dang it. No, it'll be cool. It'll be cool.
You want to feel like you're never alone.
We might put you to
be
work.
like your dog, always waiting on the other side of the door.
I'll bring all my cameras. I'm there to make a ton of content.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Corso with me, and we'll have Ali out there. I don't know how much, because I don't think they actually thought they were gonna have to like work. They were just gonna go hang out at an artist alley, and we're like, haha, VeeFriends is coming. Like, I'm gonna get you on shifts at the table. Like, it won't be like that though. So it'll be fun.
That's funny.
And I'm scouting for more cover artists.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Great, guys. I'll see you later. Have a good weekend. Happy Valentine's Day.
And has the mission of cornering Mac to get him on here while there.
Oh.
That's the mission.
I know he's been super busy because of like the whole show and everything that's going on. He's been on the red carpet. So
I think Reborn is it Born Again season 2, probably Daredevil Born Again, because I think he did something for the first season of it. So I don't know if he has.
He's really busy. Like him and Bendis are really busy too on some stuff. So
more Daredevil. Come on. All right. Thank you again.
You know what's really cool that I'm tight with Mac now is like he'll text me images. He'll be like, "What do you think of this cover? This one or that one?" And I'm like, I don't think there's much difference between the two that he's showing me. And then I like look at the details and I'm like, oh, this one on the left. And he's like, thanks. And I'm like,
that's
awesome. Weird that I get to like see his work before it comes out. So it's cool.
Oh, that speaking of cover. So sorry. So Todd Beats had mentioned that, he told the story of the two covers.
Yes.
And then how it came to be both. I mean, are we going to explore that ever again? Or is that, we're going to keep that unique for Rare Robot?
Yeah. I just feel like Rare Robot was rare. Like that came up out of just that, whatever he said, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you can do two different versions? And he's like, yeah, let's take a look at both. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. We'll do 1,000 of each. That's like, makes sense.
I love that. So, and I think that it's a really good call because it's Rare Robot, keep them more rare and all that. So
yeah,
love that.
Cool. Awesome. All right, guys, we'll see ya. Bye.
Bye.